welcome back to Life on Board Amy Joe. And if you recall from our last episode, we were crossing the Chirk Aqueduct, and that's where we left you just as we came off the aqueduct. Well, in this episode sees us completing our journey along the canal and finally reaching Llangollen, but not before we cross the famous Pont Cysilta Aqueduct and then turn left at Trevor and traverse the narrow feeder channel that leads up into the town. So sit back, relax and join us on the trip. So in this episode we leave the aqueduct behind us, but ahead is the daunting Chirk Tunnel. We have to negotiate this, which isn't easy with a 2 mile an hour flow of water coming straight for us inside the tunnel. The tunnel is claimed to be the first in Britain to have a towpath running through it, along with its shorter neighbour Whitehurst Tunnel. However, Berwick Tunnel and the Shrewsbury Canal was opened in 1797 and they included a towpath throughout its 970 yard, 890 metre length. As the tunnel at Chirk is completely unlit, it's preferable to use torch or flashlight when walking through the tunnel, as towards the centre, believe me, it's pitch black. There is, however, a wooden handrail along the entire length to prevent walkers falling in the canal. You may be wondering at this point, why is Smudges barking away in the background there? Well, the reason, Chris was at the other end of the tunnel making sure the way was clear for us, because there was a boat that we thought was heading towards us in the tunnel. It was actually leaving the tunnel, so she walked on ahead to check. So to make sure Smudge was safe, we shut him down in the cabin, and he didn't like that one bit. As it was getting late in the day and we'd been travelling for an hour after the tunnel, it was decided we'd pull in on the visitor moorings outside Chirk Marina for the night. And then next morning we continued our journey on towards Llangollen. We're on our final leg of our trip up the Llangollen Canal. We're now heading towards the Pont Cysilta Aqueduct. And as you can see, the canal is getting narrower by the minute, and these concrete walls become a feature of the canal up this stretch of the canal. It's a bit like being on one of those log flumes in the fairgrounds, only this is a larger version of it. Fortunately, it's all level and not running down hills. As you approach the Pontcysyllte aqueduct, you pass through the village of Llangollen and its lift bridge. You carry on and do a right turn and then pass some visitor moorings and on the opposite side some long-term moorings, and then eventually you reach the start of the aqueduct. The Pontcysyllte aqueduct is a navigable aqueduct which carries the Llangollen canal across the River Dee. The 18-arch stone and cast iron structure is used by narrowboats and was completed in 1805, having taken 10 years to design and build. It's 12 feet, 3.7 metres wide, and is the longest aqueduct in Great Britain and the highest canal aqueduct in the world. A footpath runs alongside the watercourse on one side. The bridge is 336 yards, or 307 metres long, 12 feet, 3.7 metres wide, and 5 feet 3 inches, 1.6 metres deep. It consists of a cast iron trough supported 126 feet, 38 metres, above the river on iron arched ribs carried on 18 hollow masonry piers, or pillars. And we're just about to go across the famous Pontcysyllte aqueduct. We've literally just come onto the trough, and I always said to the guys that are with me, when you're at the helm of a narrowboat going across the Pontcysyllte aqueduct, it feels like you're flying. Can you see what I mean? Looks like the bow of the boat is just going off the end and we're now in mid-air flight. Quite a spectacular trip across, to be fair, and the views are absolutely amazing. Just look at that. The others are just starting to come onto the aqueduct as well. Tracy's decided she's going to walk it, and the sun is out. A glorious day today for doing this. So what's really good about the Pontcysyltte aqueduct, of course, is Amy Jo can steer herself. You don't need to be on the boat. That's that. The other thing I love about doing the aqueduct is the shadow on the playing field. That's us. Down below us now is the whole reason for the Llangollen canal being built. It's the River Dee is below, and the River Dee feeds the Shropshire Union Canal via the Llangollen Canal, and we're heading up to the source of Llangollen, and we'll be looking how the River Dee joins the canal. By 1939, boat movements across the aqueduct to Llangollen had ceased, and on 6th of September 1945, due to inadequate maintenance, the canal breached its banks east of Llangollen near Sunbank Halt. The flow of hundreds of tonnes of water washed away the embankment of the railway further downhill, tearing a 40-yard, 37-metre crater 50 feet, 15 metres deep. This caused the first traffic of the morning, a mail and goods train composed of 16 carriages and 2 vans to crash into the breach, killing 1 and injuring 2 engine crew. The aqueduct was saved despite its official closure to the waterway traffic, because it was still required as a water feeder for the remainder of the Shropshire Union Canal. The structure is now a Grade 1 listed building and part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site. Having negotiated the aqueduct and exiting at Trevor, the next challenge was to make the tight left turn onto the feeder channel that goes up to Llangollen. But with a 67-foot boat, there's not a lot of room to manoeuvre.
As you say, it will be tight. Coming round nicely. Bow is in the bridge hole.
And as you could see, I didn't quite get it right. Just a bit of a tap on starboard bow.
Bit more blacking gone, never mind.
The original plan for the Llangollen Canal was for it to carry on up to Llangollen and link up with the River Dee. Canal boats could then move onto the River Dee and travel downstream back to Chester, completing a circular route. But with the advent of the modern railway, funding for the canal dwindled and that section of the canal was never completed. However, this narrow feeder channel was built to enable a supply of water to keep the Shropshire Union Canal running. Because the channel is so narrow, of course, there is nowhere for boats to pass, so passing places or lay-bys were built cut into the canal to enable boats to pull to one side to let oncoming traffic pass. There are several of these on this stretch, more notably towards Llangollen. Just look at that view. It's amazing. Highly recommended that when you travel this stretch that you send a crew member on ahead to check for oncoming boats. And it was, in this occasion, it was lucky that we did, because Chris managed to spot the day boat that comes out of Llangollen. And of course, the crew on board were none other than a hen party. It's their first time ever out on a boat, and Chris was stood there advising them what to do as Amy Jo came past. And while your travels up the feeder line, of course, it's not just boats one has to be wary of. This particular bridge hole causes me a problem every time I bring Amy Jo through here. As you exit the bridge, there is a tight left turn, and I can only just about get Amy Jo round. How you get a 70-footer round there, I have no idea. Navigation by powered craft is prohibited beyond the entrance to Llangollen Marina here, and the final section on the left is used only by horse-drawn trip boats. The current boats maintain a long tradition which was first offered to visitors in 1884. The towpath beside the feeder is in good condition and walkers can reach the weir at Horseshoe Falls, and British Waterways maintains the gravel shoal immediately upstream of the marina entrance past Llangollen Wharf. This maintains a draft which most narrowboats can't pass, but which is passable by the shallow drafted trip boats. In 2005 a marina was constructed by British Waterways just upstream of the wharf to relieve the acute shortage of casual moorings, and provides 33 berths. About 100 yards or 91 metres downstream of the wharf there are about a dozen visitor moorings complete with individual electricity and water pedestals at each. Similar pedestals have also been installed in the marina berths, and mooring in Llangollen is only restricted to 48 hours, and a charge is made both at the marina and the visitor moorings, which are below Bridge 45. Well, we're now in Llangollen itself, and this is the River Dee, which feeds the Llangollen canal, and of course the bridge over the river. About a mile from the marina, upstream of the feeder, we come to Horseshoe Falls, which is the actual source of the Llangollen Canal. The falls are a distinctively shaped weir which is 460 feet, 140 metres long. It helps to create a pool of water that can enter the Llangollen Canal via an adjacent valve house and flow meter. Through this valve, some 13.7 million imperial gallons per day is conveyed along the canal. What amazes me though is how they managed to actually build the falls. In those days with just pickaxes and hammers, how did they manage to build a wall with a flowing river as fast as it is and keep everything in place? Beats me. And if I sound a little bit emotional, everybody's laughing in the background, but a certain gentleman has just asked a certain lady if she'd marry him, and the lady said yes. So congratulations to the couple.